to our project website. Before diving into the complex topic of sentencing and vulnerability in drug trafficking and all the analysis and findings we did, why don't we start with something more exciting? A story time. Let's begin with the story of T. Ever since she can remember, T lived with her mother, her stepfather, and a younger half-brother. The family was not the typical loving and caring one, and T's relationship with her parents was very distant. Her parents were often not around to care for or supervise her, leaving her alone from a very young age. As soon as she turned into a teenager, she and her half-brother were abandoned and taken into care by the Department of Social Welfare, living in an orphanage. With her half-brother being 5 years younger, T took on the responsibility of financially supporting him, only to later discover that he had betrayed her and turned to drugs. To cope with this unbearable truth, she began using drugs as well. Fortunately, after all the suffering, T met a guy who soon became her boyfriend and helped her overcome her addiction. As T grew more serious about the relationship, she decided to start a family with him and have his children. However, just as life seemed to be getting better, her fortune did not last long. T lost 2 babies in quick succession and found out that she was unable to stay pregnant anymore. This devastating news brought her to rock bottom once again, and without a doubt, T returned to using drugs to cope with her loss, eventually leading to her offense of drug trafficking. Now let's take a look at the story of P, another drug trafficking offender who turned to drugs due to her difficult life circumstances. Unlike T, P grew up in a more stable family. She lived with her parents and an older brother. She was also in a happy relationship with her boyfriend and worked as a waitress in a cafe at the time. However, P became a victim of the whims of fate. On August 13th, 2021, her boyfriend was killed in a traffic accident while riding a bicycle. Unable to accept this tragic reality and overcome her grief, P sought refuge in drug use. Ultimately, she was arrested for drug trafficking in November 2021. Both of the girls were charged with trafficking 61.3 grams of methamphetamine hydrochloride, as known as ICE, which is subjected to a 7-year imprisonment. If you were the judge, would you consider their unfortunate personal circumstances as a mitigating factor for their sentence? If so, how much prison time should be reduced in each of the case? Well, the stories presented were actual existing judicial cases we examined in our study. In the case of T, she received no extra reduction in her sentence beyond the usual 1/3 discount for her guilty plea. However, for P, the judge showed compassion for her circumstances and granted her an additional 45% reduction on top of the 1/3 discount for her timely plea. This disparity between the cases piqued our team's interest. To better understand how sentencing judgments relate to the offender's background and personal characteristics, we initiated this research. If you are intrigued by the topic as well, you are welcome to check out more details about our research on the site. We hope you enjoyed the video, and will also be surprised with our findings.